Hello. Israel and Lebanon have formally remained in a state of war since 1948, and yet during the first decades of their existence, particularly throughout much of the 1950s and 1960s, direct confrontation between the two states was far less pronounced than it would later become. That reality changed dramatically from the 1970s onwards, following the growing Palestinian armed presence in Lebanon, and eventually the rise of Hezbollah as the dominant military force in the country's south. And whilst periods of escalation and temporary calm have continued to come and go, the prospect of genuine peace between Israel and Lebanon has often appeared not merely elusive, but at times almost unthinkable. Last month in Washington, D.C., officials representing the two countries held talks described by many observers as historically significant and vital, the first official engagement of its kind since 1993. Yet diplomacy continues to run parallel with ongoing violence in southern Lebanon, where the government of Benjamin Netanyahu continues to view the security of northern Israel as inseparable from the question of Hezbollah's military presence and the Lebanese state's limited ability to exercise full control over the south of the country. You're watching Context. I'm Orkhan Amashov here, and joining me now in the studio is Arthur Bloch, Executive Editor-in-Chief of the Liberum and Analyst of the Middle Eastern Affairs. Arthur, welcome to Context.
Oh, it's good to be here, Orhan.
Arthur, it's not the first time we are conversing about the state of affairs in Lebanon.
Correct.
What is new about these negotiations? Are they uniquely peculiar because of they happen to be direct talks, or is it about the subject matter? Why Lebanon-Israel talks appear different now?
Well, if you look at let's say the recent history, the last time we had such talks was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Since then there has not been any.
But you had talks back in 1993. Direct.
Yeah, that was but that didn't lead to anything significant. Mm-hmm. Now, we saw last month we had talks. Mm-hmm. What we know for sure now, I mean, there's conflicting reports coming out of Washington, what's exactly going to happen. What we do, first, the president was supposed to meet with Netanyahu directly, Lebanese president. Mm. That has been put on hold for the time being. What I do know is that between a week and 10 days, there will be two days of talks between the Lebanese delegation and the Israeli delegation. And the atmosphere on the last meeting last month was quite good, positive.
Mid-April.
Yeah, but not everybody in the country agrees with that path, the path of peace.
When you say not everybody, who do you mean in particular?
I mean, of course, Hezbollah. And they are on Iranian leash since the early 80s. And they are basically indirectly threatening the Lebanese government, calling it betrayal, etc. And then the Lebanese president gave a speech last week, made a statement, said, well, listen, we are going on this path. Mm-hmm. We're not going for a half a deal, we're going to go for a full deal.
When we say Lebanon, what do we mean exactly? What do we mean the administration based in Beirut, led by President Aoun? Yeah. Prime Minister is part of Lebanon in that particular sense?
Listen,
Speaker of the Parliament?
It's a bit complicated, the Lebanese political system. To summarize it, we have a Maronite Christian president by constitution, a Sunni Prime Minister, and a Shia Speaker of the House.
When we say Lebanese delegation speaking to Israelis, do we mean Lebanon as amalgamation of those three branches of power, or not?
It's a unity. So you have to see it like Lebanon as a government.
Shia Speaker of the Parliament is part of the official Lebanese state.
Of course.
But is also part of this process or not?
Let me explain it. So this is let's say the central state, the government. Now, in the past 30 years, we had a state in the state, which was formed by Hezbollah, basically doing whatever they want, taking care of their own people, serving.
Which is still the case.
Well, their presence is marginalized. In the south, they have been severely damaged. In the southern suburb of Beirut, which is their stronghold, now the whole infrastructure has been destroyed. I was last week in Beirut, and still they don't want to give up. It looks like they are going all in, kamikaze. This is their last stand. That's how I see it, and this is not something that they will come out of alive, and then mean it metaphorically, of course. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, the whole of Lebanon wants peace.
I just want to understand one thing, Arthur. Does Speaker of the Parliament support the current direct talks between Lebanon and Israel?
Yes, he did. He declared that he does. And he's not from Hezbollah, he's from the Amal Party. That's another Shia movement from the mid-70s, which was established. Mm-hmm. Usually they backed up Hezbollah and let's say the political wing of
the current
party.
speaker does not back Hezbollah. In fact, he belongs to another.
There is now consensus in the Lebanese state and the government that it has been enough. It's now time for talks. We have been in a state of war since 2006 basically, and we have been suffering as a country, infrastructure destroyed, banking crisis. We had a huge explosion in the port, which was never properly investigated because Hezbollah blocked the judiciary from investigating it. So there's a whole list of things pending, basically, in the States. And people have had enough. I was there last week, as I said, spoke to people from various backgrounds, and everybody said, let's give it a chance. We cannot be in a state of war anymore. And why not?
You've been, Lebanon and Israel have been in a state of war since 1948, and there have been consistent clashes for the past decades. One more question about that key element of the negotiations, the control over the territory south of the Litani River. Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli ambassador to Azerbaijan, whom I interviewed very recently, talked about permanent buffer zone in the territory, which is Lebanese territory, with some permanent implications for Lebanese sovereignty. What do you make of that permanent buffer zone?
Well, listen, we're now in a state of war. That means there are certain narratives being thrown into the media. If there's going to be a serious negotiation, it will be on equal foot, meaning that the Lebanese army has to go into that area, which is like a zone of 4 to 6 kilometers below the Litani River, and do what they were supposed to do. Don't forget that there was a ceasefire and an agreement 2 years ago in which the Lebanese army committed itself to go there.
Yeah, that was November 2024.
Yeah. We sat here, we discussed it, said, okay, this is a positive development, but the army never delivered. They did it very gradually, slowly, but of course we cannot...
Compared to November 2024, so between November 2024 and now, what has been the real definable decrease in Hezbollah military presence in that territory south of the Litani River?
They have been attacked daily, basically.
Have they decreased the numbers there?
Yes, I mean a lot of their soldiers died. The infrastructure is completely gone. Bridges are so it's impossible for them to get out of there. So the soldiers or the fighters that are there now, they're going they're going all in.
I know it sounds a sort of a provocative proposition, but would you say from the perspective of many Lebanese people, some Lebanese people at least, giving up territory south of the Litani River in return for peace and prosperity might be deemed as a temporary solution? Because what Israel is saying, they're saying that we're going to control this territory because state of Israel, official Lebanese state is unable to exercise control because they can't exercise control because Hezbollah is still there. We're going to control it by means of permanent buffer there. Would that be an acceptable temporary solution for many Lebanese people?
Well, as a temporary solution, I think that is the status quo that we're going to have. But in the end, the Lebanese army has to do its job. Now, what I've heard from my sources inside the government is there's a plan discussed that the first division of the army is going to the southern suburbs.
Do you mean administration of Joseph Aoun or Prime Minister?
No, that's this one. It is one. You have to see it as
they got President and Prime Minister.
Yeah. So it's just like a threesome. They all basically agree on a certain policy at the moment, and that is trying the path of peace. Now, they will send the first division of the army into the Dahia, the southern suburbs. The second division will go to the south, but what I have understood is they need Israeli air support to do that. Don't forget that the Lebanese army is under-equipped.
Yeah.
Also, it has a demographics of the Lebanese population. That means you have Sunni, Shia, Christian, Druze soldiers. It's a bit of it's complicated to send them out into the south without any backup. Now, it's going to be not something that everybody is going to be very happy with, but there's no other solution. We cannot, if you look at the 90s, when the end of the civil war was agreed upon in Taif, Saudi Arabia, the Syrian army actually came in and helped what was left of the Lebanese army to dismantle and disarm the militias that were on the ground. And that also came with a lot of force.
So you need another
Israeli... You need a backup because the army is not, unfortunately, strong enough to do it itself.
But official Lebanese army has never been very strong.
No, that is a policy, that's a regional policy. The Syrians never wanted the army to be strong, and the Israelis in the south, let's say the Syrian in the east at that moment under the regime of al-Assad, they didn't want a strong Lebanon. They saw it as a threat. And the same was with the Israelis and the Americans basically after they left Lebanon in the mid-80s. There was like consensus of keeping Lebanon weak. Unfortunately, Because that's why also a party like Hezbollah could grow in those years. They were funded by Iran, of course. And billions of dollars were spent not on strengthening the Lebanese state and the army, but on strengthening the militia.
Of course, naturally, we have to wait and see what the outcome of this current talk or series of talks will be.
Yes.
But we remember the previous permanent buffer zone practice by Israeli state. They needed to withdraw at some point. And when they withdrew, yes. After they withdrew, Hezbollah emerged as a key actor. Are we entering another vicious cycle, you think?
I don't think, if you look at the current status quo in the region, Iran has been seriously damaged.
Yeah.
Most of the bloodlines to provide Hezbollah with weapons and money have been cut off. Syria is now under a different regime. Venezuela has played a role as well, which is another episode. We can discuss that. So basically, what's going to happen is there will be like an intermediate period in which the Lebanese army is taking positions. There has to come a certain solution for Hezbollah fighters. Now, if you look at the 90s, the only parallel I can make is that thousands of militia men were absorbed in the army and the police forces. Now, if they want to save their honor and their dignity, that's a solution. But it all depends on what happens in Iran. It's connected, unfortunately. So, if the regime in Iran...
What should happen in Iran, in practical terms, for the state of Lebanon to be able to deal with Hezbollah?
Well, they should disconnect from us. From us, I'm saying as a Lebanese, they should disconnect.
And how do you see that moment of disconnect?
Well, that can be discussed in the peace deal with Trump. That one of the points in his 14-point plan is that Iran cuts its ties with its militias, and that's easy to control. And in the past years, it has been going like this. The support it still came in via airports and the port, over land even. And we're going to enter a new phase. If we sign up for a peace agreement, it needs to be implemented properly. It goes for a knife cuts both ways. And for Lebanon and the Lebanese army have to take the responsibility. But Israel also has to do what they signed up for.
What do you expect from... What does the leadership of the state of Lebanon expect from Israel at this very moment, when Israel continues to target the elements within the official boundaries of Lebanon?
I don't think they really mind that their Hezbollah elements are being targeted. It has been going on for 2 years now. Mm. I even suspect that, that, and I'm not accusing, but that the Lebanese army intelligence is basically giving away locations, because for them, Hezbollah is also a threat.
One of the most fascinating things about this entire Lebanon-Israel talks is that we don't know what Lebanon is there. Lebanon is a president, prime minister, speaker of the parliament.
We are complicated.
Hezbollah militia seems to be supporting these talks, saying that we support indirect talks but not direct talks.
I don't think Hezbollah is now in a position to demand anything. They had their chance, and the agreement was clear, the ceasefire. They have to realize that their time is over. Mm-hmm. I mean, Islamic revolution is almost finished. We've seen that what's happening in the past, let's say, 1.5 years. And that also goes for them. It's a different time. Mm. There's no more room. There's no more place for a militia, and for a country in a country, for a state in a state. We have tried that path for 40 years now, and the whole Lebanon is collapsed.
How long will it take?
Let me finish. If we do not sign up for a deal now, then you might as well,
What's the likelihood of Lebanon permanently losing territory south of the Litani River?
Yeah, this is going to happen if we do not sign up now for a deal.
What's your deadline? What's Lebanese deadline? I mean, basically the question is...
It was yesterday.
The state of Lebanon should act very decisively now. What is the deadline by which peace needs to be attained? Otherwise, territory will be lost permanently.
Well, it's difficult to say. For the population, for the people, they are fed up with the continuous state of crisis. Mm. Imagine that you live in a city where a part of the city is being bombed at night, and life continues on the other side of the city. So people see it as a Hezbollah problem, and if they do not sign up for a deal, you just said it, then we will lose part of the south, because Israel is not going to retreat and give go back to the status quo that we had before.
When I interviewed Israel's ambassador to Azerbaijan just a month ago, probably 2 months ago already, there was one question that, are you acting in line with Article 51 of UN Charter? He said, yes, we're acting in self-defense. And that permanent buffer zone would be permanent occupation. But occupation could lead to...
Occupation comes with a price. I mean, that is, we have seen that in the past. They have tried...
Occupation could lead to territorial gain in the fullness of time, of course.
Yes, and that's, we all realize that. And that's why it's good that they sit, they talk, and they try to make an agreement.
I know Lebanese society is a very complex society. There are many people... I mean, there are different shades of opinion there.
Correct. Like in every other country.
But the question, very painful and slightly perhaps provocative question was, would it be worthy concession to lose the territory, South-Lebanon, in return for permanent peace?
I'm not in favor of that. And
You're not in favor of that?
Well, listen, don't forget that this southern area, like 96% is Shia. There's some Christian villages there, and for your information, people stay there. They are still in these villages right now. Yeah. Only the Shia villages around it have been completely destroyed. Mm-hmm. And these people have of course the right to return to the land. They have been there for, but it's time for Hezbollah to realize that there is no more path of war. It's finished, over and out. And concerning the Israeli ambassador, maybe next time to invite him and me on the same table. We can have a discussion about it.
Thank you.
Looking forward to that.
Arthur Bloch, Executive Editor-in-Chief of Liberum, thank you very much indeed for your time and for your answers.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Orkhan.
Well, Israel-Lebanon peace has often appeared not merely elusive, as I said earlier, but in many ways almost unthinkable. Is that beginning to change? With the administration in Beirut led by Joseph Aoun and Israeli officials seemingly approaching some sort of limited strategic convergence regarding Hezbollah and the future of southern Lebanon? Perhaps, but we're not entirely sure. Matters are seldom that simple in this part of the world, and time, as ever, may prove the ultimate arbiter. You've been watching Context. I'm Orkhan Amashov, and see you very soon indeed.